Hi there. This is Justin Chamness, and this is the Real Estate Wholesalers Club, where we're all about getting you to that shut up money that tells your doubts and fears and the haters and the bill collectors and all the people that's been hounding you. Hey, this works. Shut up. Now, today I've got a special treat for you. Thank you for joining me on the live Zoom Q&A every Saturday right here at the Real Estate Wholesalers Club at 10 a.m. Central U.S. time. We've got a great group of people that join together here, that watch, that participate. You can be on the Zoom call and participate, or you can watch from Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and on and on and on. We are literally, we are worldwide, and we love it. All right, today, on today's Zoom, we've got a special treat. Now, we were going to do I Call Your Seller Leads Part 2 this month. But I could not pass up the opportunity when it presented itself. I met a gentleman named Kenny Wright. He is I met him actually through Claude Diamond. So there you go. That puts him right up there, right away. Puts him right up there at the top. Now, I met him through Claude Diamond, and turns out Kenny is he's a talented man at doing creative real estate, but also more specifically in the state of Texas as well. So I thought, man, what an incredible opportunity. We can have a guy that's knowledgeable, that has experience, have him right here on the show, have him talk about lease options, let him talk about the nuances and the special things that happen with Texas. Let some of you that have questions do some question asking, and let him just come right out with the flat truth. Guys, there is so much misinformation out there. Am I right, Kenny? Is there misinformation?
No, absolutely. I mean, even when you saw me out and said, wait a minute, this guy's doing what? And it was almost, you were defending what your information was because you needed to put this deal together. I said, no, it's true. I just wasn't where I could get the document. And then when I could pick it up and give it to you, stripped it down so you didn't have to read the whole law. Yeah. But I was the same way. I had actually gone and to leverage, a little bit of cash and do more properties. We can do sub-twos, we can do all kind of things. But there was this way that and I don't mean to get off your thing, but I had this every month. I had all these people that had little to no equity in their home, and I wasn't really able to waste my time going after them, shall we say. Or they just presented themselves to me because they heard, hey, I heard you help so-and-so, and they're embarrassed, and there's something you can do. And so, well, let's take a look at it and I'll see what I can do. And if you do it traditionally, the way you're so-called taught in Guru 101 or something,
right?
Well, then you don't have any equity in the home, so there's nothing I can do for you. So that's like an agent that has a one-trick pony. If there's not enough commission in it, then it goes into file 13. And I, like a lot of people, wasted some money on marketing when I got into this. I say wasted because I'm all about measurability and coming from my background and managing the other life I had in the corporate world. And if you can't, measure it and have sustainable documentation, then you really don't know where the marketing money is going. And you don't, so there's nothing more stronger than the phone, obviously, and you have to face whatever it is. Nobody's going to take over your birthday, so just get on the phone and call. I mean, you're still going to be whatever that day was, and celebrate your life that next day. So that next time it comes around, no matter what they do, you can have all kind of people. But if you're really trying to help people and they're in trouble, they're looking for an answer, but they're also not looking to be preyed upon, and people are predators too. And there's a way to do this, and by jumping into, it just gave me another little clip of my utility bill. I'm not just a lease option guy. I'm not just this. My wife and I we got into another form of cash flow doing short-term rentals. And I know that's not what this is about. So the point is, it's my little lasso is becoming very wide of what I do a little bit about, and I'm becoming very familiar.
Why don't you take a minute, Kenny, and just kind of back up and share with us, a little bit of your history, your story, how you started, maybe what you started doing, how it progressed and grew. Because like you were just sharing with us, it's gone now from creative real estate into some other things as well. And that's kind of the natural evolution for most of us real estate investors, is we kind of go from one thing into something else.
Yeah.
and maybe we keep some of what we were doing, or maybe we just get rid of it altogether and do this now. But yeah. So back up and tell us a little bit about you and your wife and your business.
When you say that, because we still do those things, but you'll find those things that have become like, they feel right. They're your niche. You became more familiar with it than anything else, whatever the reason was. And it's not that you went to the next shiny object. It just something evolved. My wife, for instance, a retired teacher, but not as into this part of the aspects of the dealings, even though if I could ever get her to, she'd be much better than me. My background is always going toe to toe, belly to belly with somebody, selling and doing things. And eventually I spent the last 20 plus years in the automotive industry. So two things we always make the most jokes about: the car salesman and the lawyers.
Yeah.
So, and yes, there's, and then real estate investors too. I mean, so we can all make the jokes about them, but you choose to do the right thing, and everything comes around, and you give back and help people. I was in Highline sales in Southeast Texas and Houston, and so I've represented a lot of different people with means, and some people that there's entrepreneurs, and there's one-entrepreneurs, and the people have their idea and they'll come in. And what got me, along with different celebrities and players, and ball players and people that I do business with in the area, they would come in, and there were some people I do business with, and there were, later, because I quickly went into management and started just duplicating myself by training and doing things, and then developed skills. I was a buyer going across the country, buying different Highline cars. So I've had different roles, and all the way to general sales manager and GM. You're just training yourself through other people. Yeah. But with that process, some people will take the information and they feed on going to class all the time. And then, and some people won't get out there and actually, let's put the textbooks down and let's go get our nosebleed. And you got to get them to where, because if they can ever get somebody where they close that deal, that drug high you get, that's incredible. So whether you're going door knocking today, because it's some parts of the country, at least here, it's gorgeous and cool. So whether you're going door knocking or whether you're going to pick up the phone and call people, it doesn't matter. But something about evolving that person who wasn't even receiving you, didn't even know you were reaching out to them, and you convert that's a feeling that you get. Yeah, the money can't buy that.
Exactly. That's the shut up money that I'm talking about all the time. When you get that, it like does flips a switch in your psyche. You do get a high feeling. you definitely do. And then if you don't get after doing it again, then you go in, you get depressed maybe even. So, like you want it again. It's like it's immediately addictive.
And then, the best feeling in the world to ever go out and actually convert somebody immediately is right when you just did one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when you've got that bulletproof, the kryptonite can't get to you, the cactus, the phone, the little thing in the back of your nugget that just goes over. I'm going to go clean the bathrooms right now. I'm not going to make those phone calls. Yeah. You'll come up with all these wonderful things you need to do, but you don't do. And you know what? Yeah. I'm guilty of it. I mean, but to get back to a little more of my story, I typically, car business is very good to me and my family. Got my kids through schooling and raised, and it's been good. Actually, I wasn't considering making the change other than I knew that I was trading time for dollars. Now, in my world, I had got to a point that I was trading time for a lot of dollars. But the point is, I can always get dollars, but I can't ever get the time. And if I'm not out there doing it, eventually where I wanted to stop it, I didn't have any passive income from it other than, investments and whatnot. And we watched the market, I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. I took a tail whooping in 04 and things like 08. And it takes a while to recover. Yeah. One thing I did differently though, I actually bit the bullet on my end, and this is another program, but I actually cleaned all of the money that was, taxed, and paid my taxes and fees on it and put it to use. And I have now, no matter what the market's doing, you can make money in a lateral market, high market, it doesn't matter. There's always opportunities to make money, but it's not just dealing with arbitrage or wholesaling for all intents and purposes. And I do that because in my past, I was doing that whether we were looking at a company or whether we were looking at cars.
Yeah.
It's still arbitrage. You're just buying
Right.
it and titling it over to somebody else and then getting it ready for their marketing.
Right.
So I may not be the end user when I'm doing it, but one difference is if I'm going to contract with somebody, I make sure that I know I have a way to go with it, because I gave a commitment to this seller
Yeah.
and they believe in me.
Yeah.
And they've got a problem, and I don't want them
Yeah.
linger out there. It's one of the worst things
Yeah.
that gives us a bad name as a group that we do that. But I developed some health problems in the business. Hence, if I'm not there to do it right, I can't generate that kind of income. So I kind of limped along after we got some things worked out. So I'm actually a recovering fat boy. I was substantially twice the size I am now.
No
Just
kidding,
working
man.
hard every day.
I used to be fat too, man. Like, yeah, that's cool. We have that in common.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm very sympathetic, and now with that, I was always the poster boy that, like, the doctor would say, I do my annual thing. You should have high cholesterol. You should have this. You should have that. I don't know why you don't, but you should. I'm going, okay, can I go now? And and I wouldn't change anything in my habits. I'd go all day sometimes without eating because you're just going. In that business, you go to lunch, it might cost you $1,500.
Yeah.
So or you're just busy doing things. So what do? You go home, you either grab something from a window or you go home and eat. The point is, the worst thing you can do, you go home and eat, and then you veg out and you pass out. And so I did that for years, and that finally caught up with me.
Yeah.
And all those things that they said, you should be this, overnight, I went from all kind of things. They even had a year after the first issue popped up, they found a spot on my stomach, and we were going to be faced with cancer, and we were faced with hyperactive this, and everything else was going wrong inside my labs.
Wow.
So I made a radical decision on something, because on October 28th, 2016, they actually called me and fussed at me, because end of the month, right? Whether you're in real estate, car business, or you're selling bow ties, it doesn't matter. It's end of the month.
Right.
So October 28th, I'm not going to the doctor. I had done the labs and I never showed back up for the report. And so the lady was very insistent that he wanted to talk to me. And I said, yeah, okay, this is the 27th. I said, all right, I'll get in there after close out. No, sir, you need to come now. I said, all right, fine, I'll come by in the morning. I remember it was a very euphoric feeling. When he sat down, he looked at me and he says, great, I'm glad you came in. I didn't want to do this over the phone, but I was going to. Bottom line, I'm gonna get to the point, because I am an onion, cut the onion with a knife kind of guy, and I like, let's get to it, And he knew that, and he did. And he said, look, you need to, I know you're short of breath and some things going on. And I said, yeah, I don't understand. I can't seem to shake this. He goes, well, you're not going to shake it. You need to decide if this is going to probably be your last Christmas, and you might make it to Valentine's Day.
Wow.
And I mean, that was not one of those, hey, you need to change.
Yeah.
It was like, look, I'm sorry. You obviously can't go work out. You can't do anything. There's nothing I can tell you. And my wife, being the researcher she is, I did some radical things, and she, now granted, did that tap into some resources by not being insurance, being a little more holistic and things like that. It was like this, I had nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
So, and I am a gambler by nature, but I can control it. And I like to play poker. It's card therapy for me. It helps my ADD in the math, but I'm here, and we've gone through a lot. But with that, I had to figure out a different way to make a living, because I'd gone to my boss and said, look, I'm going to have to leave. I worked hard to get there and be a general manager. I'm going to have to leave. And she said, no, look, you got control of it. Even if you got to work half days or something, your team respects you. And that, I grew up at a point, you go to work sick, you go to work here, so that's lazy to me. And I can't perform, because it was actually causing me more stress thinking about it. I ended up sticking around after I did some surgery and did some other things. I ended up sticking around a few more months, but I finally just said, look, you're not finding my replacement. I'm telling you, I'm leaving, and so we did part. They did call me back. I did go back after a few months, lesser demanding role, and eventually went on to be like a corporate buyer. So that helped me where I could actually work from home because I was still recuperating in a lot of ways and going through a lot of transitions. With that, I started dabbling into, in my mind, I'd see these brokers and agents that had done business with me over the years. And they were always the real estate people, the agents and the brokers.
Yeah.
They made 250, 300,000, 400,000. But I always struggled to get them approved.
Yeah.
And they're always wanting to buy more car than they should. But, I didn't sell anything anybody needed. Nobody needed a Porsche or a BMW. Nobody needed a Ferrari. I sold a Jaguar Land Rover. I sold things that people wanted. It was a reward station. There wasn't a damn thing they needed. They drove in with a good car. They didn't need the car.
Yeah.
So that was always my mindset. I've got to show you why you want this. I had to mash that emotional button. And of course, everybody wants it done. Everybody wants to get that reward. They deserve it. They work hard. So my job was to essentially sell depreciating assets. And then on top of that, many people could pay cash for it. Well, I would talk them out of that and give them a reason why you might want to go it this way. So you got to go that one step further, but you become very good at giving them what they want. They make their decision and do that. At the end of the day, I had two different people that popped up in my mind that I thought, well, this always fascinated me to learn more about real estate. And the brokers always seem to be broke, and the agents seem to be broke and in a hurry and impatient. And then I had these other people that were real estate investors, and they dressed like you and I today.
Yeah.
And they were like, and I'd go to them and I'd say, Mr. So-and-so, hey.
Wearing flip-flops and shorts and T-shirts. Yeah.
And they're taking a call. I'm thinking it's personal, whatever. Yeah. Probably just made $10,000. But now I know that. And I'd go to them and I'd say, hey, it's going to be a little bit longer. If I can't get the finance people moving fast enough, I'll personally go in there and contract. Because I've done all the roles. I've worn all the hats. So I said, I'll personally go in there and take care of your paperwork for you and get you on your way. And they go, Kitty, don't worry about it, man. I'm good. I'm going to get some coffee and I'll just hang out over here. And I remember thinking, wow, and the hardest thing I did with that person was talking him into actually financing and not paying me a check, so versus the other one was like, you don't have me approved yet? Like, it's my fault. I'm going, dude, you spend $300,000, you make $225. I mean, what do you want me to do? So, and I'd still pull it off, or my people would. So, but I noticed that and I thought, which guy do you want to be? Yeah. And I want to be the other guy. So I had enough where when you're in that kind of a role and you've done the right thing over time, even when they needed a Suburban for their family, and they're like, hey, I know you don't work at that brand, but can you tighten me up so I don't have to get I said, yeah, sure. I said, and I'd call someone I knew, and they actually would perform a wow service and literally send one of their minion salespeople to deliver it to the office and show it to him, so he didn't have to deal with all that, free for all. Yeah. And I didn't get anything out of it. But it was a connectivity thing. So when like different people talk about the Go-Giver book and things like that, when it's, do you want to be that? I always was the connector because I figure if more people need me for something, then eventually I may be able to provide some help that, it'll come to me. If not, my phone's ringing and they're calling me for something. Opportunities present themselves if you help somebody. And whether you're doing business with them at that moment, doesn't matter. You also help somebody else. I mean, somebody called me the other day and wanted advice for a contractor here. And I said, well, you know what? I don't know if he's busy. Don't work him so hard. I can't use him, but you better treat him right. And that gave that guy a job, which led to even another job, another referral. That's just a connectivity thing. It didn't cost me anything. It was just kindness. Yeah. But I made a lot of people happy. One guy solved his problem. The other guy got some money in his pocket. Yeah. And you think when I had an emergency happen in one of our short-term rentals, and I needed a little something and I didn't have time to go do myself. It was a Sunday afternoon. That contractor jumped through hoops to go do it for me. Well, and normally he would never do that, sure. but that's where he didn't owe me that, but there's a connectivity thing of doing things for people. I like being that person. I'm here today. I could be outdoor knocking or doing whatever. I'm here today because if there's somebody that maybe I can answer a question for them, I'll. Yeah. But sorry to speed up the story's too long, but I eventually had to get out of business and
let me recap for a second because I want to pick up a couple highlights in your story here. It's from what you were saying. You were in the car business, relatively successful there, but still feeling like it was kind of like a job, like a trap, like the ultimate con.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, and then you came down with some serious health issues. The doctors were saying cancer, and you had
heart, you name it, heart, everything. They had me on 13 meds, and now I'm on 0.
Yeah, and so you had to make a what I call a quality decision. Yeah, well, we make decisions all the time, but some of these aren't quality, and some of them are quality, meaning we put our full character behind it. We put everything behind it. Now, that's where that situation.
I'm going to use your phrase. I like that.
Yeah, no problem, man. Just give me credit for it once. No, that's cool. Yeah, so that's what led to the quality decision and the life change in the real estate. Is that? And then tell us how all that ends up.
Well, fortunately, I did go and get different tutelage. Like one person, when I learned about, I didn't know what a lease option was. Shoot, when I got into this, I couldn't spell ARV or REI. I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know. And but I did, after being around it for about a year, and I'm healing up and doing things. I had like a couple things in my little utility belt to work with people. But when I heard about lease options, it bothered me every month that you go look at the foreclosure list, or you look at this, and you look at the equity, and you like cut all these off the things. You're like, well, you can't touch those. It gave me a different deal because I would go to RIAs. Then I don't really have time to get out and bother with it. Or I don't take the time. I use my time differently. It's not that they're bad. I need to do it. I just don't. But I found one thing is many people are afraid to sell. They're very professional. They're very good. Yeah. A lot of oil and gas over here. These are people with means to actually invest or credit, and then many that didn't. But they all have one thing in common. I was like the only person in the room a lot of times, unless you had already faced the fear, that knew how to sell. So one thing that I realized quick, I was like, well, this is stupid. I'm not going to spend this money on marketing. So I go talk to people, and I would broker deal, and I'd say, hey, look, any leads you have, you want to send them to me that you've already filed in 13 and they're done. I need to sharpen my knife and practice my skill. I'll make the calls. I'll do everything. I'm not going to spend any money on them. But if I do anything, I'll pay you a fee on it, and we'll go from there. I wasn't going to partner with you because I'd done everything. So, and you were already throwing it away anyway. But the minute you write somebody a reader or pay them a bird dog fee or something, they know that you're a man of your word or a lady of your word. And you're going to would believe what they're going to dump on you after that, because, hey, this guy's really going to pay up. So that was things I used to do. And then I heard about, I forgot what it was. It was one deal, some thing popped up, and it was actually somewhere in the Midwest. Someone was talking about lease options. Man, what's a lease option? I know that you got an option to buy, you can rent to own. I knew that, I just didn't understand it all. Didn't know that it was so-called Texas taboo and everything. So I looked into it, and I bought his little program, and I listened to it and everything, and it was all gung-ho. And
it was called Texas Taboo?
No, I'm just saying to do lease options is so-called. After I did that, I found out that everybody says you can't do that in Texas, like you just found out,
Yeah.
And I had real estate agents. Because two things you can't say to a real estate agent is lease option and sub-2. Those are words that
let's talk about that for a minute since we're slipping into the Texas topic. I went to the phone and I called just to give you a short history. I called the Texas real estate department, and that was completely uneventful. They told me something along the lines of they didn't have jurisdiction over any particular type of real estate transaction, and so they weren't going to be able to help me. And so they gave me the office of some legal firm. I called that legal firm. They said, well, we are a legal firm that handles transactional law and for real estate in the state of Texas, but we only work for realtors, and you're not a realtor, so we're not willing to help you. So here's the phone call. Here's the phone number for legal aid. If you want to go call legal aid. Legal aid is like, that's for, they handle a lot of domestic abuse. I'm just like, man, now I'm like way off the track here, guys. So I was so thankful that I found you, man. There seemed to be no real person willing to give me any answers without, giving me kind of a runaround first. So thank you for being here, by the way. Again, I'm really glad you are. And I also want to, let you have the floor, fully to share with us about lease options in Texas, because there is a lot of misinformation. A lot of people are telling us a lot of things about it. Like you just said, you can't do that. I would never do that. Here, do a wraparound instead, or do some kind of something else, some other strategy. And
Well, the fastest way to get me, and maybe that's still a little youth in me, to get me to do something is to tell me I can't do it.
yeah,
There was a time when I didn't know how to really turn on a computer and do an email or anything. And I thought, well, I'm going to figure it out. I'm just a peckerhead enough to do it. I didn't know how to do Excel, but I'm going to sit down and figure it out. So in that respect, like my grandpa said, I don't know why you're going to finish school, boy. You've already got a BS degree. So, but he meant it in another way. I could spread it. But I always liked that feeling I got early on in life, just when I would close somebody. There's something about it. And I don't mean putting somebody together. I mean, providing them what they want. They left very happy. You're not always going to make a lot of money. Sometimes you don't make any money.
Yeah.
But there's still something about that. I don't know if your listeners understand it until they do it.
Right.
And if you just do the right thing over and over again, you will make money. Making the money is not the point. It really is. It's just a way to keep score. The law thing is really weird in Tejas, because it does fall under a different jurisdiction in law. And the reason for this, as I alluded one time in our early texting, do you think they want to hear the history of how this happened?
Yeah. Break it down.
I don't know how we are on time.
We got 30 minutes, and
Okay.
I'd like to dedicate a little bit of that to questions and answers. If anybody out here has got questions,
they can read this and look it up. But the fast version is, we had several years ago, we had in Fort Worth, we had a hurricane that actually, hurricane, my coastal's talking. We had a tornado that went right through the downtown, toward the stockyards and the buildings and everything, which is, very rare. When you think about literally heavily populated, it doesn't pop it that much. In doing it, there was a lot of, this person had a lease, this thing. So there was a high demand, of the right people pressured the right people and massaged the button. And next thing you know, in a hurry rate, they hurried up. And remember, as Roosevelt said, two things America shouldn't see is how a law is passed and how a bill's converted and passed the law, and how sausage is made. Well,
right.
This is lumped under some other deal, and I don't even remember how it is, but the statute that I sent you over, and it doesn't say that we can't do lease options, but when you look in technical real estate things, it'll dismiss it. There's people that are very well known in this area that teach people and coach people, not about lease. They'll actually say lease options are illegal. Yeah. That's not true.
Yeah.
Now, what you can do in your state, now, granted, I say that. Let me preface it by, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, I'm not all these people. So go get yourself educated or find someone who is. But what I did know is, to this thing, I don't know everything goes on in your state, but I do know in the majority of all the states, you can do different options when you offer people. You can offer them, obviously, a cash price, and you can offer them a lease option term, or you can offer them even an opportunity where you stay involved in it for a long period of time. And therefore, you'll take, you collect a little money, you get an override. Meanwhile, you solve that person's immediate problem, you made their pain go away, and you provided a home for another family that maybe couldn't get traditional financing at the time. Yeah. Things happened to me. Well, they happened to a lot of people, or maybe they just moved here from somewhere else. They wanted to come to pursue the American dream, or their job brought them here, and they don't have the credit and this and wherewithal to go and say, well, look, I've got 20% down. I qualify for this. I qualify. They don't qualify. So how do they do it? And then they're either, so this is a way they can get into a property, and they have means. They're good, hardworking folks. Or maybe they're just rebuilding. Maybe they have medical things. They have a sick child. Things happen, okay? Poop happens. But they still have the opportunity, and the burning desire to own their own home. And that is Like the first element of anything, get shelter.
Yeah.
Whether it's borrowed for the month, but you get shelter.
Yeah.
And then you sustain yourself with food and everything. Well, the people that are here, they're willing to work. There's nothing wrong with them having their own home. And there's all kind of ways to do this. Well, somebody else got a home and they were overextended, or something happened, or their job took them away, and now they're struggling with 2 houses. And they tried to sell it, hired the wrong person, marketed it wrong. Maybe it's the location's wrong. So the other thing has to change. If it's, it's like certain cars up and out there. They used to say there's an ass for every seat. Doesn't matter what the car is. It just depends how you want to market it. Are you going to try to get all the money for it? Are you going to market it here? At some point, price will move something. But if the person can't afford to come to the table with a $40,000 short.
I love that. That was the gold nugget right there. There's an ass for every seat, y'all.
Anyway, in this statute, it does say what you said, because you kept, the first time we were talking, it takes 6 months. I mean, you can go 6 months. And the people that finally allude to the fact that you can do that, remember, you know for a fact it says 180 days, and many people told you can't do it at all. So that happened to me too. And I'm looking at them going, man, I know I can help these people.
Yeah.
And at the same time, now, it was kind of like a dog chasing a car. I caught it, and then I realized, oh crap, how do I really help these? Now that I know that I legally can help them, how do I really help them?
Right.
What you can't do in Texas, for those of you that this applies to, is you can do a deal, and I think you can in your state where, and you would correct me about this, but I know in many states you can, where you can do a lease option and literally stay on the program long term.
Yeah, sandwich it. Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot do that in Texas.
Okay. So basically the misinformation is that you can't do it at all. And so that's not true, because the other misinformation is that you can do it, but only for 180 days or 6 months. Right. And that's not true either. When you really get down there and read it, you showed it to me. Mm-hmm. I read it right there with the property code, with all right there out of the property code. And you can do it up to 3 years.
Yeah, 36 months.
With these caveats, with these additions, which is what you were about to share, right? This is what you have to do.
No, you can do it exactly the way you're doing it. You just can't do the sandwich override.
Okay,
all I can do is put a buyer and a seller together, determine how I'm going to be paid, which is typically the way I market. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's your business. Anybody can. I market to capture the lead, or if they reach out to me. Either way, I'm doing the same thing, whether I'm coming at them or they're coming at me. If I see a house that somebody's got for sale by owner, well, that's typical dream, and you want to look at it. But I'm not the agent calling. That from their point of view, they're thinking, well, he's trying to take my pocket money. Yeah. Now, granted, there's nothing wrong. I've got agents that are on my power team. Yeah. These people are wonderful.
Right.
So I'm not anti-agent. I love them. I just don't want to go get my license and all that stuff, because I like doing what I do, and I like throwing them a bone, because there's a connectivity. Because I've found that they have a bunch of these leads that when I need to list something and I don't need to do it that way, and I don't want to be bothered with it, they'll work with me, and we help each other out. It gives them another listing. At the same time, they've got a ton of leads that they would typically dismiss. They'll throw them my way, because they know I can't pay them a commission, but I can pay them a marketing fee, which is going to be equal to the same. Yeah. And that's just something I personally do. It doesn't mean that it's the thing to do. You just have to work out what you want to do. But the minute you pay somebody one time, they will be coming back. They will come back. It's like a Pavlov thing. They will be coming back. That's awesome. They won't throw their lead away again, because they know that it might turn into something. If I can call them and talk to them and work it out, and just put them in my follow-up bin and find out why they didn't sell the property later, whatever, it doesn't matter. Some people have to be, their pain hasn't gotten to that level yet that they're ready to listen. And that's okay. I'm not trying to steal their property. Many times I'm offering it to them for what they're asking for it. And they're asking, you can do, like some people ask me, man, can I do this deal? Because the ARVs, they get caught up in all this math. And it is math, but I mean, you don't have to, I don't have to buy it at 60 cents on the dollar or 70 cents on the dollar.
Right.
If I can get the property for, let's say the property's worth 250 and the guy's inflexible and he wants 245 and he can't even afford to put an agent on the deal. Okay, well, I understand his pain. It's a math. He's short of it. It's not that he's got it and doesn't want to get rid of it. He's short of it. So and I go and say, look, well, if I can get you asking price, I don't know if you'd be interested. Would you, that would interest you that we can put something together. Right. Now, I will tell you, I don't do an exclusive contract. We can cancel each other anytime.
Okay.
You will learn it's wise to fire your clients.
Yeah.
It makes you stronger. And when you fire one, whether you just choose in 10 minutes not to do business with them, you're actually firing all the people that really ticked you off on the other times. It's like it all comes out at one time. You do it nice and polite. They may want to come back. You put them in your follow-up then. But when it's over and you end the call or whatever,
yeah.
Or in my case, I sign somebody up and they're just they're wanting too much of a miracle done. If they won't let me price it and market it the right way, and I feel like I can get it a good approved buyer in the home, and I say 30 to 45 days, it's not really worth my time. Now, I don't go exclusive. I've had somebody that he says, well, I'm going to list it the same time you are. Okay, I don't care. All I ask is that we be gentlemen about this. And if you are going to cancel on me, then you give me at least 48 hours because I may have something working and it's not fair to that family or myself because I'm nurturing things that you don't know about. I'm not going to tell you about everything going on. And it would be very rude and unfair to that family that's mentally taking ownership. We're just gathering everything together. So if I can't close it and put it together in 48 hours, and no, legally, do they have to do that? Do they have? No, they don't. I'm asking for a gentleman's agreement. That's just something I choose to do. Yeah. I haven't had it be an issue because if they were selling the property, they would have already sold it. Right? So, but that's just something that if I don't think I can get a body in there. Now, to get back to that, I want to make sure I use the right expression. I don't just put a body in there. I said the word approved buyer. And by definition, I explained to my sellers that an approved buyer is someone that my mortgage person has vetted them and they feel that based on the information they've gathered tangibly, as well as in a brief interview, that they feel that they can correct this or steer them this way, and we can possibly get them approved in somewhere between 8 and 14 months. So I set these up as initially 12-month potential deals.
Yeah.
Not 36.
Yeah.
I can't sandwich it anyway, so there's no point,
right.
You know.
So
I want to get my seller done and my buyer, I want to get them away from each other as fast as possible. It's just healthy. My buyer needs to move on. My seller needs to move on. And by helping them get a mortgage, guess who else made money? My mortgage person.
Yeah.
So he's vetting these people. They pay the fee to whatever he's got on his. I don't want to do it because there's a lot of coming from the car business. You got to keep credit and everything online and protect it. And so I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I tell him, you go to him or her and you get them to do it, and they process it. They get to do all the laws of protecting the credit and pull it and everything. I don't want to do that. I don't get anything out of that. I'm just I'm just bridging everybody together. I choose to get paid by the buyer, and I get paid a fee, and it's completely transparent. The contract is not one contract for the seller and one contract for the buyer. It's all one contract. Everybody knows. There's nothing. I just don't have anything to hide. It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's not a different contract. Matter of fact, I sent you an example of it.
Yeah.
That's really a contract you can use there. It's probably very similar to y'all's leases. The only difference is in Texas, you have those other 2 pages, which I show people and go over things.
Yeah.
And some things that you'll need access to. But that's really it's when you talk about the secret sauce, that's really the only secret sauce. So I mean, if I just if somebody tells me something, I don't just charge for it. I go, look, if somebody tells me a thing to help somebody, I tell everybody. Because eventually there's somebody that will always need a little more help, and that's when I can spend some time with them and we go, look, I can spend so many sessions with you or guide you or coach you or do something. But that's something else I'm giving of myself, which is my time, and that requires more. If I can just give somebody the tip and you go figure it out, that's fine. I don't need to make money off that. So it was free information. I just had to go find it.
Yeah.
And if I just wasn't determined enough when somebody tells me you can't do it, then I wouldn't have dug that up.
I feel the same way a lot about things, and I give a lot of content away as well. One, so people can get their foot in the door a little bit and get a taste of things, but also just for the very reason that you said, there's old proverb, freely you have received, therefore freely give, and I have freely received a lot. And so, definitely love to share. How can people connect with you if they want to know the more specific details about doing lease options in the state of Texas? I'm going to
or if they want to talk about it and they're somewhere else, I mean, I can guide them what they're doing, but they still want to, maybe they want to role play. Maybe they, because there's certain texts that I send out that market things. These are all free. I mean, what is it? I spend literally no money on marketing. I do subscribe to a few little softwares and different things. But, it was here and now it's here. This just, so I mean, it's my cost all the way around, but I'm actively answering my phone. I don't have a pool of people. I don't have somebody on the other line.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm the guy you're going to talk to. So if you don't mind talking to a guy that got an egg-shaped head and this is how it's, and with that, I full-time do a real estate business, and I'm either looking to buy something that is good for somebody else or myself or an end user, or grow our short-term rental business, or I'm looking at lease options. I mean, I'm constantly doing it. My exit strategy of it is another way that will be determined real quick. That said, if anyone contacts me, tells me how they, from your group, I definitely would give them a free, quick consultation. Maybe I can answer their question in 15, 20 minutes, and they'll be on their way. If they need something more in depth, we can talk about that. But any of your fan base, I would definitely love to help them. It doesn't have to necessarily be Texas related. My number is 281-215-3 and then 777, hence lucky sevens. So, my name's Kenny Wright. I do need to get a shorter email for consulting, but for now it's just go to info@LoneStarKeyProperties.com, and it is IES.com. And then you can go to LoneStarKeyProperties.com. That's the actual website, but, for now. And
I'll put this stuff in the description as well of the video on YouTube, and so later on, if you're watching this after the live stream has ended, possibly it'll be there in the description already, so you can catch it down there as well.
Do you have any questions? Because I know you're working on something over here, and did you get all your questions solved? Maybe that would help your listeners.
Well, the biggest problem that I had was just the runaround from everybody. Everybody telling me, no, you can't do this. You should do a wraparound mortgage instead and just transfer the deed right away. And I'm like, oh gosh, what a nightmare. And then I found people that were like, yeah, you can do it, but it's just not really worth all the trouble. So just don't do it. And then I watched other videos and other things that I looked into, and people were like, even some of them were lawyers, and they were like, just don't mess with it in Texas. Don't mess with Texas lease options. And I'm just like, okay, well, this lawyer says don't do it at all. And this lawyer over here says do it, but it's a problem. And this lawyer over here says it can be done, but I want you to give me $25,000 to give you the contract, and I'm just like, man, I called the state, and the state don't want to help nobody. And I called the legal department, remember? And I told them, I said, no, listen, guys, the legal department. I said, all I'm really wanting to do, I said, let me ask you one question. Can I have a purchase and sale agreement and have that escrow on that purchase and sale agreement last for 24 months? And can I have a lease agreement in addition to? And they're like, well, we're not really willing to help anybody that's not a realtor. And I said, well, now I'm sorry. I understand where you're coming from, but really, I'm just a consumer, and I'm just asking the state legal department how to fill out the state legal contract that you recommend I use. And it's one simple question. And I think the honest to God truth is they didn't know the answer.
Exactly. You know, somebody gave me some real good advice one time, because, you know, we as people, we tend to go, man, I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. But
Yeah.
you don't really hate it. You just aren't aware of it. You're unfamiliar with it. And it kind of switched for me. There's a lot of things I'm unfamiliar with. But I started looking at things through that different, you know, rose glass, and go, well, you know, I don't know much about that, but by God, I'm going to go get familiar with it. And I just sort of changed my internal pep talk on things. And there's tons of stuff I'm still unfamiliar with. Because now at this point, I just go get familiar with what I need to solve my problem. And if there's a way, when I know that I know, you know, then I'll help anybody and do it. In the meantime, I would have been the same way. I was getting the same feedback, pushback you were, because I did have a family that I knew there had to be a way I could help them. Yeah. And through that, and that tenacity of somebody telling me no, and I really, really didn't want to just go, no, y'all are, just let the house go back. There's nothing you can do. But I was, and guess what? I solved their problem, and then we were able to put another family in there.
Yeah,
that is not just this closing feeling. That's like you put on your doctor coat now. You are now the professional. You're not just like you sold something. You literally, I solved a huge problem going on for them, and these other people are so happy, and everything's done, and they're clean, and they're on their mortgage, and everybody's going away. And meanwhile, credit improved for the other people because the payments started getting done. Right. Now, if you've got a situation that's not, you got to be reinstated and everything, that's not a lease option. We're talking about a house that is really pretty, really clean, really ready to show. There are tons of them, but they're not moving. Lots. That we're talking about that kind of stuff. We're not, and that's more things we can talk about later. I'm sure I hope somebody has some questions. I hope I didn't give them information they didn't want.
Does anybody have questions out there in the world? Go ahead and put them in the chat if you do, or if you're on the Zoom call, feel free to unmute your microphone and ask away. Ask away. We have Kenny Wright here. He's here to share with us about anything, really. Ask him anything, but he is knowledgeable about lease options in the state of Texas. You know, I wanted to visit just briefly about some of the special nuances and rules that have been applied to lease options in Texas that do not really apply in a lot of other cases in other states. That being, for example, can't charge more than, 18% or 8% late fee in the lease agreement, or, you know, things like this. Other things like there has to be a 30-day late window. Can you explain some of these little tiny nuances that go into the paperwork that makes it special?
It's a nuanced difference to you, and to me, it's the only way I know to do it. It's perspective, because if I saw stuff in your world, I would go, wow, because I would actually already be restricted. I would probably still operate the same way, just operate because I don't need to tax somebody. I would probably just keep it. If it works in Texas, it works everywhere else, it's fine. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do a sandwich lease somewhere, but you know, I'm not familiar with it because I'm not allowed to do it if I do something out of state. But it's not that I wouldn't want to. I mean, it's a great income source and helping. But the fees like that, right off the top of my head, you know, you don't charge people, like even on well, and this was kind of true of a lot of other places, but you know, even when you're doing owner financing back with somebody, you're limited on how much interest you can charge, but you're not limited on how much you can sell the house for.
Yeah.
So, you know, because you're not trying to get an appraisal, so it's the same thing, and you just have to see which way the rules are, and then you want to provide your service accordingly. Sure. And doing the lease option, you know, you have to protect yourself for late fees and things like that, because your job is to protect yourself. To be someone who's going to be doing lease options and you take your fee from the buyer and you're gone, that's going to give us all a bad name. You know, you need to be there. And another reason you need to be there is there are times when someone will not elect to go ahead and they could get approved, but for whatever reason they've elected now, we're not going to go and buy the house.
Sure.
So your seller liked everything. You were in touch with them. They're not going, Kenny who? I mean, they're very familiar because you're follow up and it just takes a few seconds. We're not talking about all the time once it's done, but just somehow they know your name and they've heard something from you. And then you know enough of the buyer that this is going on. So you may alert them before and say, hey, look, it looks like they're going to exercise not to do the option. Or it turns out we did our best shot, but we're not going to be able to get them approved. Well, we don't keep letting them stay in the house, So, Mr. Seller, what would you, at this point, do you want to take the property back? Do you want to have me market it? Because their term's coming up. They're going to have to go ahead and get out. We're not going to extend them.
Yeah.
And that's cut and dry. So that's protective to the seller. If you're there and you've done them right, they're going to just say, well, yeah, give me another buyer. Yeah. What does that translate to? Another buy fee to you.
Exactly.
And now it's like, okay, well, you're like the guy with the note lots cars. You may sell the same car 3 times in 2 years.
Yeah.
He takes the down payment and everything else. And the only difference is the house is worth more, the car's worth less. So
right.
Say getting to dealing with depreciating assets versus something that even if it's not even fixed up, it will go up in value. It just will. Neighborhoods don't have to get drastically better, but they do. There's some increase in value. But you can do a lease option in a lot of different places. I will say, for some people, I don't know what your mean average is in the areas you're looking at, and because we're talking to people all over the country here. But if you're looking at a $125,000 house, or if you're looking at a $500,000 house, my comfort zone is I typically would stay in the 200 to 450, under 500.
Right.
That's just me. I'm not saying you can't do a $2.2 million lease option house. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But your audience went like this.
Right.
Instead of you got this small audience.
Right.
And one thing I'm flipping back in cars, but a person that can buy a $50,000, $60,000 car, they can buy a $120,000 car. I mean, the strategies of how we do it and help them get in it, it doesn't matter. They can do it, or they wouldn't be able to buy the one. So the house thing, a person that can buy a $750,000 house can buy a $1.7 million house. So your audience just went from a lot of different choices and things like that. So when you make that commitment to a seller, you want to be able to stage it so that you're not collecting any money until you put a buyer in it, but you want to be able to market it and get it done in 30, 45 days.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just little nuggets that I'm not shying people off of bigger fish.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that sometimes there's tons of product out there that needs help that's under $400,000.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree with that. And that's what I advise everybody as well that asks me. I tell them that's what my sweet spot is too. And I think they're surprised sometimes that it goes as high as what it does. There's some pretty nice houses out there, guys, that you can do creative real estate deals on. You don't have to be over in the war zones. Matter of fact, that's not really where you want to be. You want to be in the nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage type bread and butter where you would want to live. Those are some nice places to do lease options on. And I think one thing that we should highlight before we wrap up today with Kenny Wright is that, one, you should definitely go to the description and I'm going to ask him to share his contact information with us again here on the video, but you should definitely go get in touch with him if you're interested in doing lease options in Texas, because he's got a lot of great information. You might mention I love Justin. That'll let him know.
Yep. That'll definitely get you one free ride right there.
You might say I love Justin, and that'll make both you and me both feel good. And so, but anyway, I think one thing we pulled out of this today is that what Kenny talks about a lot, you can really see his heart and you can really hear his heart in when he talks, because It's all about it being a service business. Did you pick that up? It's a service business, and he is providing a service to the homeowner. He's also providing a service to the tenant buyer, and he wants to be a good service business, which means he gives a shit, y'all. He actually does. Okay. He cares about the homeowner. He cares about the tenant buyers. And when you care about the people involved in the transaction, there is that certain je ne sais quoi about the thing that happens. There's a magic that happens when people sense that you are doing this not just out of your own mercenary motive, for your own gain, but for their benefit too. This is going to solve a problem for them, and this is going to provide an opportunity and solve a problem for them. Okay, and it's a win-win-win all the way around. Kenny, thank you.
Oh, you betcha. No, thanks for having me. If anybody does have any questions, just want to do it on the air, feel free to ask me. I'll be glad to get back to you. I do reply to my things, and I do answer my phone, and I do reply to my emails.
Give us that phone number and email address one more time, Kenny, before we sign out.
281-215-3777.
All right.
And I'm Kenny Wright on Facebook. Nothing fancy, no company or anything. It's just me. My wife's picture's there with me, and that's the better looking one in the group. And
yeah. I was gonna say she's probably the
oh
better
yeah,
looking.
if I'm going door knocking, she's going with me. Would you open the door for me? No, but I'll take my secret weapon with me.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, I can relate. I can relate to that.
My info, it's info@LoneStarKeyProperties.com, and then of course LoneStarKeyProperties.com is our website. You said something that I always looked at things like, because you just said something to your listeners was really good, and it was touching on a service.
Yes.
I always looked at things like, how do I want to be treated? Like
right.
Life, I had a business early on in life, different things happen. And again, I failed forward my whole life, so I just keep doing it. But when that happened, and I was even waiting tables and stuff later, and had kids, and getting myself together, and then you pop up and you're doing other things. This was many years ago, but you just keep moving forward. But I thought to myself, well, I've never done this, but how do I want to treat people is the way I want to be treated.
Sure.
And that just escalated to other things and whatnot.
Sure.
So this is no different. Car business is no different.
Yeah.
When I moved to Houston, I didn't know what the nomenclature was in the back of a BMW. I didn't know what the I stood for. I didn't know why they got numbers on there. I'd never been around German engineering thing, but I was unfamiliar. Yeah. But I was willing to get familiar.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing that a lot of people don't. They want to do it, but they don't want to bother doing what it takes. Whether you got a role play, you need to find somebody to role play with. Like you're a great coach with your people. Yeah. And that's an opportunity. But if they can do it amongst themselves, you've got to do it. You've got to do it in the mirror or something. But you don't want to practice in front of your potential guest or client. Although that is practice, you have to do it. But you want to practice it. Yeah. Just get better at your craft.
Yeah. Don't wait till the day of the performance to do the dress rehearsal, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then when it's game day, you're ready to go. And game day is whenever that lead calls you, and you're there. Or if you actually catch somebody, and sometimes people make phone calls and oh my God, he answered the phone.
Right. Yeah. That's great, man. All wonderful things. And you're exactly right. I do believe that. They used to call that the golden rule. Treat other people like you would want them to treat you. Mm-hmm. That's an old Sunday school lesson for those of you who never went to church.
Well, you were talking about your proverb and referencing that. I was thinking about before we go, it's our fiduciary responsibility in society to give back. Yeah. And I'm not talking, we can write a reader, but did we change the world completely, or did we with our actions? Did we show somebody something? Did we teach somebody something? So we leave somebody behind that's now taking those golden rule nuggets and doing things, because otherwise things will just evolve a different direction. So and it's our job. The greatest thing, I think, when somebody asked me, said, what would be the biggest disappointment you think? I said, if I look back and I taught somebody skills to close somebody or to do this because, you know, I'm not perfect, but I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And if I taught them some of my secret sauce and they used it,
Yeah.
not in a good way,
Yeah.
you know,
In a nefarious
I found
way.
out that
Yeah.
they gave to the dark side of the force.
Oh yeah.
That would break my heart.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, you're right. That would we at the end of the day, when we breathe our last, all the toys, they get put right back into the toy box, and nobody remembers that you owned a Lamborghini, or nobody cares because you don't own it no more.
Mhm.
And it's how you treated people and how you made them feel, and what you did for them that really sticks, I believe. And so, you know, great reminder to have these kind of attitudes with our businesses, because honestly, I think if you can look back at my videos from the very beginning, and you can hear me preaching on that topic, because it really is important if you're in a local market to be a guy that people like and respect and trust, because you're a good dude, not because, you know, you don't want them to know you because you snaked this guy and you lied to this guy and you stole here and you did that and you conned them, and next thing you know, they put you on a rail and ride you out of town, and you're out of
Exactly.
business, you know.
So
So it pays to love people.
go make somebody happy today and solve their problem.
Yeah,
And I'm telling you what, you're going to feel really good about it.
absolutely. Anybody, one last thing, anybody got any last thing to say from the gallery here? Thank you everybody for being a part of it. Speak up now or forever hold your peace. You'll have to get in touch with Kenny after the show ends. This is the last shot. James, did you have something you wanted to say?
I did actually.
Okay.
Greg and I went out to look at the house that when you made the call last weekend.
Yeah.
We went to look at the house. We've got another strategy, but it's not something that I want to be on national TV.
Okay.
So I was wondering if we could grab you for about 5 minutes or so after.
Yeah, that'll be all right. Yeah,
Oh.
we can do that.
Okay. Do I have
okay.
your phone number? Is that something you can give me, or is it something that you can PM?
Yeah, we've talked on the phone before, James.
Yeah, I'm just not sure where your number is.
I'll call you. I got your number. But
Okay.
my number is 816-875-6961.
875-6961.
That's correct. Yep. All right. Anybody else got anything? Anything for Kenny? Anything for me? Hey, love you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to visit us at realestatewholesalerclub.com too. Get some free stuff. Check out Kenny. Look at the content down in the description. Get his number and his email. Touch base with him, guys. Let him know you love Justin, and he'd be more than willing to help out. You know, at least he'll give you some advice. But you know, at some point, you know, this man's time and knowledge and energy is worth some money too, guys. So don't expect everything to be completely 100% carte blanche. All right. Hey, and that's the way it ought to be. That's the way it ought to be. Do you agree, Kenny?
Absolutely, yeah. And they're going to be the same way because they're going to be passing on and helping people too.
Exactly.
But your time, you only have so much time in a day, and you want to help people.
But it's good quality, it's good value, and you've seen him right here, so you know he's the real deal. So anyway, love you guys. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
All right.
Justin.
Yeah.
I'm going to get Greg on the phone, and then I'll call you if that's okay.
Okay, no problem. We'll talk soon. Thanks,
All right.
man.